In Venezuela, citizens rally in support of peace and President Nicolas Maduro's electoral victory in the elections of July 28th. As part of the Day of Rage in Lebanon, hundreds of people took to the streets in the city of Sidon to protest the assassinations of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh and Hezbollah commander Fuad Shukur. And in Palestine, Israeli brutal airstrike hit a school, claiming at least 10 lives in Gaza Strip. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Venezuela, citizens rallied in support of peace and President Nicolas Maduro's electoral victory in the elections of July 28th. The main demonstration began at 1 p.m. local time from the CAN-TV headquarters on Liberator Avenue and reached the Miraflores Palace, while a bike rally moved from the Petare parish in the state of Miranda. Demonstrators demand respect for the national sovereignty and reject all fascist violence and coup attempts against the country.
With the capability of responsive reaction of the civil and military and police forces union, we solve it with the constitution and peace. The fascist outbreak, we have 2,000 prisoners captured and they're going to the maximum penalties. Justice. This time it won't be forgiveness upon them. This time forgiveness is not available.
President Maduro also indicated that whenever he is summoned, he will be there ready to collaborate in everything.
Every time that I'm summoned here, I will be here. And the day that you require the 100% of the tally sheets of our witness in the electoral tables, we are ready, the Great Patriotic Poll and the PSUV, to consign the 100% of the legal tally sheets that we got from our witness in every table of the country.
The head of state also emphasized that the unity of the people is fundamental to defeating the destabilizing actions of the extreme right.
Venezuela has to defend the right to peace. You know why? We won the peace so quick in only 48 hours. Because these people was mobilized in early hours. Only on Tuesday, and I was surprised, the neighbors of Katia, 23 Enero, Petare, when they got by thousands to the people's balcony. The criminal marimbas were already activated in some places. And it's fundamental that the people is empowered, that the people is mobilized. And it's fundamental the union from the people, from the military, from the police.
In Venezuela, President Nicolas Maduro affirmed that the coup d'etat that the Venezuelan and international far-right intended to carry out in the country has been dismantled. During a meeting with the women's movement of the homeland, the head of state thanked them for their commitment and love for the homeland. President Maduro also denounced that the groups financed by the Venezuelan and international far-right to destabilize the country were neutralized. Isabel Cirila, leader of the state of Bolívar, was one of the victims of this violence that for years extremism has used against the people and the government. President Maduro assured that all those responsible will pay for the crimes committed and asked Venezuelan women to strongly support the banners of peace.
Venezuelan women have to be the first to condemn the guerrilla uprising's criminal violence. They have to be the first to raise awareness in their homes, in their communities, because Venezuelan women take the lead in Venezuelan society, so you have to, as the great movement that you are, create the great movement of the national public opinion, so that fascists, criminals, those people who want to impose hate, revenge, and who hired thousands of criminals to attack hospitals, cutting-edge healthcare centers, schools, universities, who destroyed over 250 police centers, sabotaged subway stations, they burned down buses, municipalities, they knocked down statues of Bolivar, of José Gregorio Hernández, of the Indian Coromoto, of our commander Chavez. All those who knocked down the statues are already in jail, all of them. The Venezuelan woman must be the first to raise with that tricolor, to raise the flag of peace, of coexistence, of love, of life.
President Nicolas Maduro reported the dismantling of a cybernetic and criminal coup d'etat aimed at undermining the country's electoral process.
We have dismantled and prevented a cybernetic and criminal coup d'état. These are the two characteristics: a coup d'état that tried to stain and overshadow the electoral process, led from the United States of America. I am very pleased that the government of the United States has come out again, to take off its mask and to say that they have a new Guaidó in Venezuela. Will you accept a new Guaidó in Venezuela? This Mr. González Urrutia, who thinks and gives such an ugly opinion of the Venezuelan woman, so sexist and misogynist, fascist and racist. So I ask, will Venezuelan women accept a new Guaidó? Are we going to accept that they impose a scenario of destabilization and violence? Or are we going to fight for peace and that the Constitution and democratic institutions are respected?
In Venezuela, the government authorities commemorate National Flag Day. The Commander General of the Bolivarian National Guard highlighted that the flag represents the political, historical and cultural identity of Venezuela. During the ceremony, authorities such as Interior Minister Remigio Ceballo, Controller General Josnel Peraza, Minister of University Education Sandra Oblitas, and Minister of Culture Ernesto Villegas were present. 213 years ago, General Francisco de Miranda touched Venezuelan soil in La Vela de Coro and waved for the first time the tricolor flag. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates and more. We'll be right back, stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. As part of the Day of Rage in Lebanon, hundreds of people took to the streets in the city of Sidon to protest the assassination of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh and Hezbollah commander Fouad Shukur. Some 500 people marched in rejection of the assassinations last Friday afternoon, which also coincided with Haniyeh's funeral in Doha. The demonstrators carried Palestinian flags as well as photographs of the victims while chanting slogans in support of Palestine. At the event, where the continuous terrorist acts of Israel were denounced, the Hamas relations officer in Lebanon, Ayman Shana, and Hezbollah's Arab relations officer Hassan Essedin said that the bloodshed only promotes the increase of their self-determination. In Palestine, it is reported that the debate on the nomination of the new head of the political bureau of the Hamas movement will be held after the end of the three-day mourning period. After the death of the leader of the Palestinian movement, Hamas, Ismail Haniyeh, assassinated last Wednesday in Iran, members of the movement assured that the debate about the candidacy of the new leader will take many days. Also, media and Arab analysts pointed out that the deputy leader of Hamas, Khalil al-Hajja, or the former leader of the political bureau, Khaled Mashal, could take Haniyeh's place. It should be noted that the movement held Israel and the U.S. responsible for Haniyeh's death and stated that the attack would not go unpunished. The Prime Minister of Palestine, Mohammed Mustafa, denounced that the Gazan people are being subjected to brutal attacks and aggressions by the Israeli regime. Addressing the assassinations committed by Israel on Thursday in the occupied West Bank, Mohammed Mustafa stressed that the Palestinian people are being subjected to genocide by the occupying regime, especially in Gaza, affirming that the Israeli regime's plans and programs ignore the national and permanent rights of the Palestinians. At the same time, Mustafa pointed out that the forces and settlers of the occupying regime attack daily the cities, villages and camps in the West Bank. In Palestine, Israeli brutal airstrikes hit a school, claiming at least 10 lives in Gaza Strip. Israeli genocidal forces took accountability of having attacked the area as they were targeting an alleged Hamas command and control center. The Israeli occupation aircraft tore down entire residential squares in the Gaza Strip as part of the comprehensive policy of destruction applied by the Netanyahu government. Thousands of deaths and injured are still trapped under the rubble. Continuous shelling and the severity of the conditions on the ground as the Gaza Strip is under complete siege. In the United Kingdom, citizens took to the streets in London to protest against Israel's genocidal operations in Palestinian territories. Hundreds took part in a demonstration organized in support of the Palestinian people and to demand a ceasefire and the entry of humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip. Participants raised Palestinian flags and banners denouncing the crimes committed by the Israeli occupation against the Palestinians. In this context, hundreds protested in Port Rotterdam, 78 kilometers from the Netherlands capital, against the Israeli regime's genocide in Gaza. Protesters raised Palestinian flags and banners with messages of support for the Palestinian people. Demonstrators demanded the international community to put pressure on the Tel Aviv regime to stop the aggressions that have displaced more than 2 million Palestinians to date. In Sweden, a large rally in support of the Palestinian people took place in the city of Uppsala with the participation of the Arab and Islamic community as well as Swedish activists who denounced the continuous aggressions against the Gaza Strip. Demonstrators raised Palestinian flags and chanted slogans for the Palestinian people and called on the international community to take measures to pressure Israel to stop the genocidal acts in the territory. We have a final short break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience, you can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as the rest of the world. Final short break, don't go away.
From the south is part of the TTTL of Trinidad and Tobago. We are grateful to be part of this television house and to be able to share news from around the world, from Monday to Friday. We keep connecting borders, because teleSUR always gives more.
Welcome back to From the South. In Russia, the air defense forces intercepted and destroyed 75 Ukrainian drones over 7 regions of the country and in the Sea of Azov. The Russian Defense Ministry reported that 36 drones were intercepted over the Rostov region, 8 over Kursk, 9 over Belgorod, 17 over Orel, as well as 1 each over Voronezh, the Sea of Azov, and the Krasnodar region. Defense authorities detailed that this is within the framework of operations of the Russian troops in which they repelled an attempted massive attack by Ukrainian UAVs against facilities within the Russian Federation. The Russian provinces bordering Ukraine regularly report missile strikes, drone incursions, and other attacks from across the border. In Russia, President Vladimir Putin invited his Venezuelan counterpart Nicolas Maduro to attend the meeting of the BRICS group, which will be held from October 23rd to 24th this year to find areas of multilateral cooperation. On X, Putin posted an official communique noting that the participation of re-elected President Maduro will enrich the upcoming discussion and drive the progressive development of their bilateral relations. Furthermore, Russian head of state asserted that the BRICS meeting will provide a constructive momentum to solve the current regional and global problems of the agendas in order to build up a fair democratic system of international relations. Meanwhile, the government of Venezuela considers itself to be a reliable partner of the BRICS and expects to contribute its natural resources to its member states for bolstering common projects. In Chile, at least 3 people died and 6 were injured due to gust and rainstorms that hit the country. Authorities said that the rains left widespread damage in much of the territory, with fires, falling trees, floods, and even the interruption of flights at the airport of Santiago de Chile. In this regard, they noted that this intense frontal system has left more than 1 million homes without power supply during at least the past hours. Meteorological authorities warned that wind gusts are reaching 127 kilometers per hour. And in Brazil, the Amazon rainforest has witnessed a dramatic surge in wildfires within the last month, with approximately 2,600 wildfires reported, marking the highest number for this month in nearly 2 decades. Representing a 40% rise compared to June 2024, the escalation of fires is largely attributed to severe drought conditions, which have been intensified by climate change and the ongoing El Niño phenomenon, leading to drier weather across the region. The situation has raised concerns among environmentalists and government officials regarding the effectiveness of the current firefighting resources and strategies, particularly in light of budget cuts that have affected firefighting capabilities. We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media, Facebook, X, Telegram and TikTok as well. For TeleSUR English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.